Release the Kraken!
Good evening, fellow game designers. This is Ron, your host from Lame Duck Studios, and we are bringing you another exciting tutorial. Actually, I'm kind of mellow, so I don't know how exciting it is, but anyway, in this tutorial we're going to look at how to create a set of images or image planes that we can use in Maya to create a very simple spaceship or plane. This is really another beginner tutorial. I tend to work on beginners just because I teach during the day and a lot of folks need a helping hand. So anyway, if you're used to Photoshop, you're welcome to hang out and check it out and see what you like. But if you've never been in Photoshop before, don't worry, I'm going to kind of walk you through a few things. Nothing too new, but a few things. Anyway, this is Photoshop CC, I think 2018 or 2019. It's one of those. They're all about the same now. And we're just going to create a new document. So create new. There we go. And when this pops up, you can see I have quite a few different document sizes that I work with. But for this one, we're going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to do 512. Make sure we're in pixels, by the way, because an inch is a lot bigger than a pixel. On default is inches, so just make sure we're in pixels. And the height is going to be 640. Orientation, I'm going to have the orientation be taller than wide, so I'm going to go ahead and hit this orientation here. Resolution should be 72 pixels per inch, and we want to be in a color mode of RGB. 8-bit is fine. And for the background, I'm going to do transparent. So hit the little drop down, go ahead and scroll down to transparent, and then hit create. Okay, so welcome to our canvas. If you've never been in Photoshop before, it's okay. This is our canvas. To the left is our tool palette. Top bar here we have some tabs, usual stuff, and to the right we should have our layers and our color panel. Depending on your version of Photoshop, you might get some extra stuff over here, but all we really care about is the layers and that. Okay, so for our layout, we have our page. This is going to be one of the two image planes we're going to make. But I need to have my canvas actually bigger than this. Now I could have done that in the initial setup, but I want to show you how you can do it inside of Photoshop once everything's all started. So let's say you created this and you wanted to expand this to have an extra page. Well, if I come up to image and then come down to canvas size, you could do image size, but image size would stretch an image if you have something already there. So I'm not going to use that. I'm going to go down to canvas size. And then in there, all I want to do is come down to inches, change that to percentage, and you'll see they both change to percent. And then for my width, I'm just going to do, because I want two pages this way, but the height is fine. So if 100 is this size, then 200 will be twice that. So 200, and then hit OK. So 200, 100. We're not changing the height. Hit OK. So now I have two pages that I can work with. To make it easier to look at, because this is probably really hard on your eyes, because I know it's hard on mine, I'm going to come over to the right here. Come all the way down. We have this little link looking thing, this little FX, and then we have this little guy, this little Japanese flag looking thing. This is for creating layer masks. And then this one looks like a yin-yang symbol. This is for doing different operations. All I want to do is drop in a solid color layer, so hit solid color. And now I can pick a color that's easier to look at, so I'll just do a medium gray. But you can pick whatever color you like. And I'm just going to name this. I'm going to go ahead and click on the word here. 2 clicks. I'll call that background. And then I'm going to add a layer. I'm going to come down to the bottom here where it says new layer. So create a new layer. And this is going to be the layer I'm going to draw on. Now I do want to separate my two pages, at least visually, so I know where to work and how to keep things organized. So I'm going to come up to View, and the first thing I want to do is make sure I have rulers checked. So if you don't see this ruler here, make sure that rulers are checked. And then I'm going to come down to New Guide. So New Guide, I want a vertical guide, so one that goes up and down. I'm going to do 50, and then the percent symbol. And then hit OK. It's going to drop one right in the middle here. So here are my two pages. On this side, I'm going to start painting away. So, actually, before I start painting, I'm going to come up to my ruler here, and I can just drag in by clicking and drag in a new guide. So I'm going to drag in a guide, let's say about to there. You can kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be too precise. Then it'll come all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to use these guides for the top and bottom sections of the ship. So the nose of the ship will go here. The tail of the ship, or the fuse, or whatever the bottom of the ship is going to be here. And the same is going to be on this side. So when you're doing image planes, it's very important that whatever's on this side lines up with what's on that side. So we're going to use these guides to help us with that. To the left here, I'm going to grab the paintbrush. Go ahead and click and hold on that. And I will grab the brush. You can use the pencil if you like, but I will just use the brush. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose a solid brush. Take the size down just a tad. I like to have a nice crisp line here. 5 pixels, good enough. Just kind of click off. I'm going to start drawing the shape of my my ship here. So I'm going to click at the top here. And some quick tricks: if you hold down the Shift key and then click and drag, whoops, hold down Shift, click and drag, that lets you draw a straight line. If you click and drag left and right, you can draw a straight line left and right. And if you click and then hold Shift and then move over and then click again, it'll draw a diagonal. Okay? And we'll go over this as we go. Alright, so I'm going to come to the top. I'm going to do half my ship here. So here's the top. I'm going to create like a diagonal line, so I'm going to hold Shift and click again. And then from here, I'm going to make a straight line down. So I'm going to hold Shift, click, and draw down. Alright, good enough. And I'm going to make a wing. Let's say from about the midpoint here, I'm going to hold, I'm going to click, and then I'm going to let go. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to come out a little bit. I'm going to make a inverted wing here. And then I'm going to click, hold Shift, drag up, and let it go, click. I'm going to bring my mouse over, hold Shift, and just click. There we go. You can see I have my wing here. Now you can design your plane any way you like. I'm going to make it look like I did this in first grade, just to keep things real simple. Now for the bottom, I'm going to create like a little jet engine. So down here, I want to erase some of that. So I'm going to come up to Eraser, click and hold, grab my eraser tool. I'm just going to erase this back just a bit. And if you end up with where the edge is kind of faded, that just means your eraser has some soft edge. I'm going to grab this solid edge one, take that up a little bit, and then if I erase, the edge is a lot cleaner. Grab my paintbrush again. I'm going to click, hold Shift, and drag this in. Let it go. That's probably far enough. And then here I'm going to make like a little jet engine. This one I'm going to freehand, so I'm going to click, kind of curve it. That's good. I'm going to click and hold Shift. Come on in, about yay far, and that's good. So I have like a little rocket booster here. All right, so from here, I have half my plane drawn. And you might think, well, why did you only draw half? Well, the beauty of that is I'm in Photoshop, and I want things to be kind of precise, so I can have, instead of trying to draw this again, I can just copy and paste it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my selection tool here. I'm going to drag out a selection box. Make sure I get all of the line art for my plane here. Go up to my Move tool, select my Move tool. I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and then click and drag. That's going to make a copy. Now all I want to do is flip it. So I'm going to go up to Edit, come down to Transform, and then Flip Horizontal. So now I have my other half. And I can line this up however I like. And one of the nice things about being in Photoshop, you can use the arrow keys up, down, left, and right to kind of tap this in place, as you can see I'm doing here. I'm going to tap it to line up. I'm going to line up the tip of the plane, or the nose of the plane there. That's probably pretty good. And then to drop my selection, I just press Control and then D. D as in dog. Okay. So I'm going to fix the line here and then clean up the line on the end. So grab my eraser, I'll clean up this line here, and that line, and then this line here I'll just fix. So I'll grab my paintbrush, kind of hover over, I'll click, hold down Shift so I can draw a straight line, and I'll just kind of fill that in. Good enough. Now for the cockpit, I'm just going to kind of mirror what I have here. So I'm going to click in the middle, come down, I'll hold Shift, click, come back just a little bit, hold Shift, click, come over a little bit, hold Shift, click, and then I'll copy and paste that. So if I want to grab just this line here, I can come up to my Magic Selection tool. So we have our Move tool, our Selection tool, our Lasso tool, and then right under that we have our Magic Wand. Sometimes you'll have the Quick Selection tool there. If you see that, just click and hold on it, choose Magic Wand. I'm going to click on this line. Whoops, missed it. Let's try that again. Click on the little dark line. There we go. Grab the Move tool. Once again, I'll hold down the Alt key, click and drag. Oof, I don't want to drag the whole thing. Make sure you're dragging on the dotted line here. Drag that. Edit. We're going to go down to Transform, and then Horizontal Flip. Then I will line that back up. Control D to let go of the selection, and there we go. So there's the cockpit, we have our fuselage. Now most planes have a second pair of controlling wings back here for stabilizing, but for this, I'm going to keep it as simple as possible, so this is going to be fine. However, I am going to make the other side of this plane. So I'm going to come over to my Move tool, come up to the top line here for my, my ruler. I'm going to come down, drag the line. This is going to be where the glass starts. So the edge of the glass there. The next one is going to be the edge of my fuselage for where the this taper is going to be. I need another one for the back of this window here. So you can see right away I'm making this shape. I'm going to start making that over here. I'm going to grab my paintbrush. Say I'll start in the middle. I'm going to kind of freehand this. I'm going to kind of curve it back. And if you see your line snapping to the line here, you can see how that kind of curved. We can turn snapping off. So I'm going to go up to View, come down to Snap, and I'm going to uncheck. You can see that is unchecked now. So no snappy snap. I'm going to freehand this curve. I want this to kind of come back. So that goes to there, right? The glass on this is going to start about here on this line. So, and then the glass, you can see it has that angle. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to come down to about there. And you can see this guideline actually isn't in the right spot. The end actually changes here. So I'm going to get my Move tool. Let's move this guideline back up a little bit. Right about there. Okay, get my paintbrush. Let's try that again. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to come down to the guideline, hold Shift and click. So there's that first angle. And then this kind of comes back a little bit to about here. So hold Shift and click. Let's try that again. I'm going to click, make it a little bit straighter. Okay. And then I'm going to bring this up to here. And this does kind of come in a little bit. So as I come in, I'm going to bring the angle up just a tad, like right about there. Like that. To kind of match this. And if I bring this down, let's see if I do match that curve. Not too bad. Alright. Now it's time to get these wings going. So I'm going to drag out a line to the tip of the wing. I'll drag out a line to where the wing starts, right about there. Edge of the wing, bottom of the wing where it connects to the body. And then last line is going to be down here right at the edge of the plane. Okay. Looks like a lot of lines. It's okay. So I'm going to start at the nose of the plane. I'm going to kind of curve this back just a tad. And then from here, just so I have a bit of a curve there, I'm going to click. I'm going to come all the way down. I'm going to assume the belly of the plane is pretty flat. So I'm going to come all the way down and hold shift. So click, hold shift, just drag a line down. All the way down to about there. There's my flat edge for the plane. And then I need to do the same thing for the top of the plane. So I'm going to click here, hold shift, kind of go all the way down, and I will come across. Alright, so for the plane, for the wings, I mean, the tip of the wing starts here. When you have forward swept wings, they typically bend upward a tad, so I'll say this part of the wing starts here and then comes down to this. So hold shift. So that's where it starts, and then this part of the wing is here. Hold shift, and it come down to this line. Right? So now I need to create the diagonal. So from here, I'll click, hold shift, and then click. So there's that. And then click, come down, hold shift, click. So there's that. I need the edge of this. So I'll click, hold shift, come out a little bit, let go, click, hold shift, and drag back. Give me some thickness to the wing. I'll fix that. And then click, kind of hold shift, and click there. Give some thickness on that wing. So it kind of looks like from here we have the edge of the wing. And then down at the bottom, we have our jet engine. And this one I'm going to kind of steal and just move over. So I'm going to go up to here. Because this is a cylinder, it's going to be the same on all sides. I can grab my dotted line tool, or my selection tool here. I'm going to come up to this line edge right about here and just kind of select that. Make sure I get the whole thing. Come up to the move tool, come back down inside my selection, hold down the Alt key, click and drag. And then I attach this to there. Make sure I line it up. And one of the nice things about being in Photoshop is it'll give you a little line to let you know that it is lined up. And I'll move it back. Oh, I lost the line. There we go. And I'll just center it with the body by moving left and right on the mouse, or sorry, on the arrow keys. And that's probably close enough. I'll do Control D to drop the selection. And I'll clean up my edge. So I'll get my erase tool. Cool, close enough. Alright, so there's our very simple, very rough plane. And in the next tutorial, we're going to put this in Maya. So let's go ahead and save this. So File, we're going to do Save As. I'm going to put this in my tutorials folder here. And this is going to be, we'll call this Spaceship Reference. And I will save this as a Photoshop file. I'll just hit save. Hit OK. And I will see you in the next video.